Good morning, Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Let's discuss something that might seem a little odd. Let's discuss the danger of choosing to be non-judgmental. I say it's a danger because we are already judgmental. There's two definitions of being judgmental. One is making evaluations, and one is condemning. So we recognize the need to make distinctions and make evaluations. For instance, my friend, if you don't know the difference between organic, fair trade, chocolate, and a steaming pile of doggy-doo, don't make me dessert. Okay, so that's the simple argument for the need of evaluation. And now an argument for the inevitability of condemnation. Evolution has wired us to be more emotional than logical. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we see under the heading of the base of phenomena, we see the 5 aggregates, which can be translated as raw sense contact, evaluation as to whether something's pleasurable or painful or neither, labeling, and that's really where our condemnation comes in. This is horrible. This is great. Woohoo! Whatever. And then comes the story we tell ourselves, and then, of course, our consequential mood. Now, I don't hate fundamentalists. I was a fundamentalist for many years. I experienced firsthand great sufferings because of my fundamentalism. My hope is to help you evolve further on the path from fundamentalism to liberalism, from yang to yin. So I'm not bullying or picking on anyone. If I'm bullying anything, it's suffering, because I don't want you to suffer. It really sucks. But here's the idea. These 5 things, these aggregates, are not choices. If we try to stifle ourselves to just raw sense contact, we are repressing, and that's horribly dangerous. There are entire schools of thought within each Mahayana sect and some tantric sects that talk about the alaya consciousness. We just need to move in awareness and suspend the remaining 4 aggregates. No, that's not what Buddha taught. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we're not told to choose aggregates and reject other aggregates. We're told to notice that when we experience something, when our evaluation is screaming, or a label is screaming, or a story is screaming at us, or a mood is screaming at us, to notice it and work with it. The thrust of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta is not controlling, it's noticing. Our condemnation takes place faster than awareness does. It's lightning quick because it serves an evolutionary advantage. At least for a very long time it did. Now, you may be saying to yourself, wait a minute, Lama Jigme, the reason I'm so buttoned up about what I let myself think, what I let myself feel, is that, quite frankly, I don't want to be a dick. And that's good. That's good. Buddha's morality can come down to don't be a dick. But how do we do that then? How do we maintain spontaneity without being a dick? How do we keep from being a dick without falling into contrivance? How do we not be a dick without lying to ourselves about what we think and what we feel? And how, my friends, do we know when we are lying to ourselves? When we have to talk to ourselves about what we think, when we have to talk to ourselves about what we feel. In the 1970s, there was a therapeutic modality known as the rational cognitive approach. And the idea was that you can talk yourself into or out of any thought or emotion. The problem with this is that it ignores evolutionary biology. When you look at the fossil record, living beings had a brain stem long before they had a midbrain. Therefore, it can be argued that the brain stem is deaf to the midbrain. And likewise, we had a midbrain long before we had a forebrain. Therefore, the midbrain evolved without the ability to hear the messages of the non-existent forebrain. So when we are using our forebrain to talk to our midbrain or our brain stem, it falls upon non-existent, no less deaf ears. It falls upon non-existent ears. The rational emotive approach creates more problems than it solves. And I'm not immune to it. I'll sit there in meditation, an ugly thought will come up, a painful emotion will come up, and I'll start reasoning with it, Can't do it. You just can't do it, Captain. That was a very bad Scotty imitation. So, what then are we to do? How are we going to reconcile not being a dick with not following any contrivance? Simple. The answer is so simple, you're going to run up to Southern California and kick me in the shins. Here it is. On the in-breath, silently and mentally ask the rhetorical question, what? Noticing. On the out-breath, silently and mentally recite the intention, relaxing. That's how we allow for spontaneity without being a dick. By noticing what we're feeling and then relaxing into it. It is as it, let us anthropomorphize our impulses, our emotions, our drives. Each of us wants to be heard. Each of us wants to be understood, not necessarily cognitively, but viscerally. We want at least one person in our lives who gets us, who gives us the benefit of the doubt, who's in our corner, who respects us, and who loves us. Every human is that way. Pretty sure most dogs are that way. So let's pretend, just pretend, that our impulses and thoughts and emotions and drives are the same way. If you're in an argument with someone and you contradict them, guess what? They're going to get louder and more illogical and more irrational until they start voting Republican. But if you're in an argument with someone and you say, I'm going to take my opinion and put it on the shelf, it's not going to go anywhere, I'm just going to listen to this person and make them feel respected and genuinely respect them, genuinely drop my own defenses, my own sense of judgment, and just let them feel heard and respected and understood. I'm grabbing my belly right now. And understood. If we do this, they'll stop talking. They'll stop fighting. They'll feel better. Now, if we work with agenda and saying, okay, ugly thought, okay, ugly emotion, I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to make you feel understood, so you go the fuck away. That ain't right. That is not going to work. Why? Why won't it work? Because our drives and our emotions may be lacking in intellectual acumen. They may be lacking in erudite vocabulary. But they can smell bullshit. So we sit upon the meditation cushion and we notice whatever comes up and we relax. As we go through life, if we hear a screaming insecurity, we notice it and relax. Not to make it go away, but to make peace with it. Because that is the only way we can truly balance the apparent dichotomy, the apparent paradox of spontaneity and morality, kindness. Contrived kindness is bullshit. It doesn't work. Hey, I remember in high school it dawning on me that some girls used a facade of sweetness to keep others at arm distance. As a sapiosexual, as someone who was first attracted to the heart and the mind, I found that very off-putting. But it was like, well done. You kept someone at arm distance and it worked. I've known men like that too in the quasi-spiritual communities who felt that they would use superficial sweetness as a facade to conceal their undealt with rage and greed and hate that they didn't know how to deal with, and they hoped that you could just bury it alive and asphyxiate it into submission. But it doesn't really work that way. The only compassion that is sanctioned inferentially by the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Buddha's larger meditation manual, is spontaneous compassion. Not contrived, spontaneous. How then do we set space for this spontaneous compassion? You guessed it, through the habit of mindfully noticing and relaxing, and then compassion spontaneously arises. Uncontrived, fresh, resourceful. There's nothing wrong with admitting to ourselves, I didn't like that. There's nothing wrong with admitting to ourselves, I feel annoyed by something, or I feel like I've wasted time or energy or resources on something. That doesn't make us a bad person. If we keep from holding on to it with white-knuckle intensity, how do we do that? Notice what's going on, notice our reaction to it, and relax. Notice it and relax. We can resent something today and value it next week only if we've habitualized the cycle of noticing and relaxing. So let's do that. How do we do that? How do we make it into a habit? The same way you get to Carnegie Hall, practice, practice, practice. Yes, that was a bad joke. I will accept hate mail below. The best way to practice is to sit for an hour every morning and an hour every evening and working with it. Not just reciting, noticing, relaxing, noticing, relaxing, noticing, relaxing, noticing, relaxing, like some sort of a self-righteous parrot, but earnestly practicing it with the intention of making peace with yourself and with all others. In the 40th chapter of the Tao Te Ching, we read that the Tao is not the path of advancement, but of yielding. When I was a fundamentalist, I thought it was about advancement. I'm going to advance. I'm going to seek and destroy all my greed and hate and fear. And it didn't work. It didn't work. But if I practice awareness and constructive yielding, it works. And so remember, we're not yielding to the impulse. we're yielding our resistance to the impulse. So in other words, if we feel like strangling someone, like the way Homer Simpson strangles his son Bart, by yielding to it, we don't reach out and start strangling them. That's very impolite and simply not done in polite society. It means that we're making the distinction between relaxing and pushing it away. We're not pushing it away, we're seeing it and relaxing within the safety of the meditation cushion, within the safety of corporeal inaction. Because unless you're Darth Vader, it's very difficult to strangle someone with your mind. And what I found is no matter how bloodthirsty we are in the moment, if we sit there and persist with it in meditation, noticing and relaxing, by the time we get it from meditation, we're far less likely to strangle someone and much more likely to be at peace with them, or at least do no harm, and at least be no dick. That, my friends, is all you get to... You know what? We should put charms that say that. Be no dick. And you can wear it on a gold necklace. And look how spiritual I am. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Ciao.